Welcome to today's Reader Q&A session, where we'll explore what is magic and how does it fit structurally into reality? What are miracles and why are they so rare? How does the mind perceive reality? And what role does the initiated mind play in becoming more magical? We'll start with our reader's intriguing question. What really is a miracle? The mind hears the word and contracts. I want to fly. I want to walk on water. I can't will myself to do these things or even intend for them to happen. So I think I'm not magical. Well, what does it mean to be magical? Magic is happening all the time. Reality is composed of streams, and within each stream there are layers. Those of us who are naturally sensitive can feel these layers and sense ourselves moving through them. You do this every day as your awareness shifts through various layers of your reality. Your mind loves to dwell in the superficial layers because they're comprehensible and predictable. However, the deeper layers of reality are wild and powerful, beyond the mind's ability to interpret. This is where magic resides. The mind translates these magical layers into something it can understand through structure, symbols, stories, and logic. As you move up the layers, each layer of superficial reality adds its own level of interpretation. It translates the magical layer into the superficial layers because the mind can't interact with magic directly. It can only interact with magic that has been highly mediated by structure, symbol, story, chronology, meaning, cause, and effect. People identify so strongly with their minds that they spend pretty much every second of every day of their lives using their mind as their primary, if not exclusive, interface with reality. Even those on spiritual or magical paths revert to using the mind as the primary interface with reality. This identification is hard to break because there's a deep fundamental fear of chaos, which is how the mind perceives the layer of reality we call magic. Of course, the mind isn't the only way you can interface with reality, but as I noted, we are so identified with the mind that we cannot put it down for more than a minute or two at a time before plugging right back into it. You don't want to lose your mind. Interacting with magic directly requires you to lose your mind. As much as you think you like to have magic, you really truly don't want to lose your mind. You don't want to be crazy. You instinctively know how brittle and limited the mind is, and you don't want to break it. Your mind needs to be able to explain things to remain ordered. The mind requires its stories and translations. If you force it into a reality it can't understand, can't explain, and can't predict, you risk losing your mind. It's safer to create a small, contained space for magic and miracles, a novelty the mind can handle. As long as it's strictly controlled, it needs to remain under quarantine, lest it escape into the wild to contaminate the order of your mind's highly interpreted reality. However, this containment limits the full experience and expression of magic. If magic is happening all the time, why can't I see it? To understand why you can't always perceive magic, consider how your brain processes reality. Your brain operates on recognizing patterns. Light, sound, objects, emotions, and concepts all form patterns that your brain interprets. However, it only perceives a limited range of these patterns. Other animals can perceive things like infrared radiation and magnetic fields, which humans cannot. Similarly, we are limited to perceiving a narrow slice of reality. Light and sound form waves that create a pattern. You see pieces of wood stuck together and you call it a chair. You hear sounds and you call them music. Your brain speaks in the language of pattern. And this isn't just applied to the physical world of things. It also is applied to our inner lives, our feelings, our relationships, our concepts, our world view. They are patterns strung together to make stories. Our brains recognize a range of physical, emotional, and conceptual patterns. It projects these patterns onto base reality, but your brain is only capable of perceiving a small and limited range of patterns. All the dimensions interpenetrate. You are living in and among all these 4D and higher dimensional patterns. They're all around and within you right now, but your 3D focused brain can't directly visualize them. You can only perceive where higher dimensional patterns intersect in 3D. Miracles and magic are pattern interruptions, occurrences that break the mind's pattern. The mind often smooths out these interruptions to maintain its version of reality. You only recognize miracles when the mind can't explain them away, forcing you to acknowledge the seemingly impossible. Your mind tunes in, but it also tunes out. Your brain filters out most of reality, focusing on just a few patterns it deems important or interesting. Imagine walking down the street with millions of potential patterns all around you. Your brain tunes out almost all of them, directing your attention to a select few. This selective perception means that much of reality, including magical elements, goes unnoticed. Grasp the implications. Your brain's limited perception range, its highly selective focus, and its habit of editing events keep magic out of your conscious awareness. To the unprepared mind, the pattern of magic is unintelligible. When Europeans colonized Indonesia, they were entirely unable to recognize Indonesian music as music. They heard the best gamelan musicians play beautiful, haunting gamelan, and they couldn't even fathom that it was music. To them, it was noise. This goes beyond musical preference and taste. I'm not saying they thought it was bad music. They really couldn't hear it as music at all. They could discern no melody. It was noise. Likewise, they played the most elevating classical music for the Indonesians, who also thought it was just random sounds, not music, but chaotic noise. Magic does have a pattern, but our minds can't recognize that pattern. We perceive it as random noise. The prepared mind, the initiated mind, isn't what you might assume. It's not a mind that's been trained to do magic. It's a mind that's prepared to step back and allow you to interface with reality without the mind's interference. We often focus on the effects of magic, like teleportation or materializing objects, but true magic lies in perceiving the flow of magical energy, not its spectacular outcomes. An initiated mind isn't just trained in magic, it's prepared to let go of control so you can fully experience the magical layers of reality. Let's tilt our point of view and look at this in a different way in the next video on the screen now. If you love these topics as much as I do, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, watch for the magic.